as I've been introduced a couple of times, the poet in residence for Cafe Berlin. All of the poems in this notebook that I have here are poems that have been written at Cafe Berlin within the couple of hours before community showcases. That tends to be my gig, is I write a poem right before I go on, so that I have the energy to get up on stage. So one of tonight's poems, this first one, is one I went ahead and wrote tonight, and it's called On Mourning the Living. To say that I have been in touch with my emotions is a misnomer. I am frequently subsumed by what I should be feeling, getting caught up in the concept and the expectation. Example, when I showed up late to Thanksgiving this year, my siblings were hunkered down outside in tears. I held my brother as he wept, and for a time I was surprised, not because I hadn't expected this, but because we are a family and what family expects this. Example, every time my father has a tearful goodbye for a business trip overseas, to Mexico, to Japan, to Korea, my mother held me as I wept, because my father's love was supposed to bring tears. Example, I love my father. Not always because I want to, but sometimes because I must. I love my father. I pretend this father, my father, is the father I love, and not the drink in his hand, swinging at my brother this Thanksgiving. Because if I don't love this father, then my beloved father will never return before all my fathers fall to dust. Example, my father had a heart attack, and because we wept, started physical therapy and regular exercise and dieting. Ergo, if I love my father hard enough, my father can change. Example, my father had another heart attack this week. I wept like a baby for all the wrong reasons. Weary tears of a newborn, tired beyond reason of mourning the living, of missing the man hiding the soggy messenger at the bottom of another bottle. What if this is another SOS I can't make out? To say that an SOS is the message in the bottle is a misnomer. That message is frequently subsumed by the metaphor getting caught up in the concept and the expectation. How many empty bottles make a message? I love my father. We used to dress as pirates together for Halloween. There is a weightlessness to my father's love. A tire swing implied in every shove, the push preceding the run, down and under, swinging up, up. At the apex of the swing is a different perspective, looking down at an underdog. I look down with weightless love, seeing my bird's-eye truth of my father, of this little man. I weep for the underdog. This next one's called Torch. I am 7 years old, and the air was hot and heavy like fogged up mirrors and scattered drop countertops after Dad's hot showers is at once soft and scintillating. Before I can register the breeze, amid sparklers and glow sticks, I find betwixt cupped hands a mote of emerald starlight. For a moment, I forget myself. I lose the late nights, rich with movie magic, blankets tight overhead past bedtime, flashlights and encyclopedias. For a moment, I'm larger than life. For a moment, I'm holding a firework. I am 13 years old and my hair is in my face. My legs are sore, partly from bringing the knobbliest things on God's green earth, mostly from all the walking. The street light is on. I am blocks of home when I notice, ergo, I'm probably grounded. The sound of cicadas in this place is deafening. It makes it hard to hear all of it. The tree frogs, they're marginally less dreadful ragged. Skull candy is sweet relief. Burning much needed battery on Owl City. In minutes, I find myself expecting hugs from the fireworks idly buzzing in my company. I am 16 years old and I contemplate, while vigorously poking holes in the lid of a mason jar, catching lightning in a bottle for the first and last time. I don't. I am 15 years old in a class called Lightning, Bugs, and Lightning. For all 3 weeks, there are zero of either to be seen. Rather, I see a prairie for the first time. I learn about leaves, I learn about social structures, about crows and squirrels and capuchins. I turn strangers to friends, to family. It feels like lightning. I am 21 years old. I go into Target on Black Friday for as much coffee equipment as I can afford. I leave with a microwave and 2 little red boxes. I am 22 years old, and my friend of many years brings me to your child's birthday party. We've met maybe twice. I've opened these boxes, this envy of Pandora, these microcosms of interpersonal discovery, shrink-wrapped self-truth just as many times, if not fewer. And half an hour into our first, maybe second real conversation, kites are jealous of how high we are. 2 hours in, these little boxes tell us we're not really strangers. We choose to believe them. 3, and we're almost out of cards. The premise is a great deal more promising. 5, and as this fire dies, you ask me if I like fireflies. I crack some dumb joke. You look me in the eyes and tell me 2 little red things. 1, you're an empath, and 2, I'm hiding behind my humor because I don't know you or your friends very well. I take a beat, calm my tremor, and nod. In a moment, we're not really strangers. I am 22 years old, 24 hours later, telling you everything I wanted to say. It feels like lightning. Woo! This next is one of the first, I think it's the second poem I ever wrote for a community showcase. Oh no, this is the first poem I wrote for Community Showcase, the second I wrote at Berlin. This is called Immolate. To say that trauma rewires your brain gives that fucker too much credit. It pays little heed to rules and logic, to neatness and cables and cords. Trauma pays you little heed at all, really. It peels the stickers off your Rubik's Cube, it throws rocks on the playground, trauma draws on the walls, trauma breaks your cranes and puts them in the box out of order. Trauma is messy because trauma is one big, loud consequence that takes all the attention away from the other ones. Trauma is a petulant child. It'd be so much easier to say that trauma is the years that it stole. But a simplification of that magnitude is a half-truth. The catharsis and half-truth is fleeting at best, but it is a reflection that is easier on the eyes. I tried, for far longer than I should have, to shape him. To make for him a scapegoat, a vestige, something that looked more like a perpetrator, less like a victim. I used to call him Steven. One of the few perps I clung to after all these years. It didn't help. Trauma still looked like me. Trauma is the first moments it took from you before you gave it a name. That attention is but a catalyst for it to grow like wildfire. For me, at least, the trauma is all the heat right before the flashpoint. The trauma is the thrum and the grind, the word that whispers to feed the machine. Cut more wood for the fire. Always more food for the fire. Gone are the trees, gone is the breeze. Won't you be fuel for the fire? There is, unfortunately, a morbid joy in watching the little motes and wisps lap at your fingertips. The trauma is a heat in a way. It contorts and warps your perspective as it metastasizes. That wicked growth feels to be your own, and you blight despite yourself. Witness these few moments of melancholic bliss, this hollow mix of masochism and schadenfreude. As Icarus falls into the sun inside himself, hear that hiss as innocence dissipates when you finally shake yourself to your senses, crisp and charred at the fringes, done, so done, just so done with giving. The trauma shrinks down to what he really is, a messy kid throwing a hissy fit. It is far easier to deal with the trauma when he is like this. After 6 years of unpromised tomorrows and just as many stints of stop-and-start recovery, I think I'd much rather stop burning and try parenting. Try raising this little hell instead. One or two? One?
Short one.
Short one? Gotcha. Heard. This last one is called New Blue Sunday, after Karina of QQ, a local artist who unfortunately lost her voice due to a procedure that she has undertaken. So she will have her voice back soon, but unfortunately she can't be out here to perform for the next couple of times because she's lost her voice. This is called New Blue Sunday. I've been big and small again. I've been a baby woman and then a kid again. I was never the names that they gave me. I've been shedding the skins of my shame. Underneath, I believe there's someone, and I'll keep them safe. Identity is a constant point of contention in my inner monologue, and so it follows my poetry. I am a writer. So much is clear, but beyond that, I worry that all I am is all the beautiful, awful someones I once was. Me, myself, and I is not quite as comforting when the cast of familiar faces are full of the dust I am leaving behind. Instead, I intertwine with bed sheets and stories and people and hope to find the complexities of mind and of self between us. Perhaps there is some part of me hiding in the wet heat of corn, of each and every hot and heavy embrace. It is important, though difficult, to remind myself that I exist without you. Eyes on me are power, but I exist, unplugged and unperceived. I understand more now why you keep your distance from love poems, Karina. I envy you in your balance, your newfound comfort in isolation, your new blue rollerblades rolling around the city, going nowhere, ain't got nobody with you. You right though, bestie, the only someone worth meeting is me. Perhaps I ought not fall in my own trodden footsteps, shrink and grow and shrink, just grow big and big and big again, write for myself a tall, tall tale, and in the meantime, read between my own fine lines, unravel my bindings, shed both bedclothes and well-judged covers, shed the skins of my shame. Underneath, I believe I am someone, and we'll meet them someday. That's my time.